Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Jurnee Taylor, and here's a look at the stories we're following today. Israeli forces say they're moving deeper inside Gaza, plus the latest on the Americans trying to leave the war zone. And after a weekend of downpour, many vendors now getting a second chance to serve the Little Rock community with a surprise pop-up market in Selma. And celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, the Grammy Museum now honoring the world's biggest music genre with its very own exhibit. But first, we have a look at weather on yet another chilly start to our day. Meteorologist Nathan Sky, good afternoon. What are you looking at over there in the weather department?
Good afternoon, Jurnee. Yeah, it was another cold and frosty start here in central Arkansas. I had frost for the first time here in Little Rock. And look at these numbers, lots of 20s. Once again, 28 was the low in Conway, 29 in Russellville, 31 in Hot Springs, 32 in Pine Bluff. It reached 33 in downtown Little Rock at the airport. Visible satellite, we've got wall-to-wall sunshine, and the temperatures have warmed up. We're already warmer than we were yesterday for a high. 55 is the number right now in Little Rock, 53 in Stuttgart, 52 in Arkadelphia, and 53 in Russellville. And we're seeing these warmer numbers because the winds are coming not from the northeast, but now they switched off to the south, and that is a warmer flow as it's making its way in here from the southern part of the country. So the temperatures today will climb up into the upper 50s to lower 60s area wide, and this is just the start of a major warming trend. We're going to see temperatures go well above average for this weekend. I'll have that complete weekend forecast coming up.
All right, Nathan, well, thank you. Hundreds of Americans who have been trapped in Gaza are starting to leave the war-torn territory today. Now, this is as President Biden has called for a humanitarian pause in the fighting. Natalie Brand reports.
For the third day in a row, Israeli airstrikes hit a densely populated refugee camp in Gaza, killing and injuring civilians. This boy cried, "We did nothing wrong." Israel said previous strikes at the camp killed dozens of Hamas fighters, including a senior commander behind the October 7th terror attacks, adding that tunnels Hamas constructed under the camp led to further building collapses. And this dash cam footage captured a Hamas rocket slamming into the Israeli city of Ashdod, wounding 3 people. Mr. President. At a fundraiser in Minnesota last night, a woman identifying herself as a rabbi interrupted President Biden to demand a ceasefire. In response, the president called for a humanitarian pause in the fighting to allow hostages to get out of Gaza. Earlier in the evening, he affirmed Israel's right to defend itself.
And it needs to do so in a manner that is consistent with international and humanitarian law that prioritizes the protection of citizens.
Some Americans trapped in Gaza for nearly 4 weeks are finally making their way home. The border with Egypt opened yesterday to foreign nationals and Palestinians with dual citizenship, but the situation at the crossing remains fluid.
Internet has been cut off for the past 3 weeks.
Palestinian American Suzanne Bessillo was visiting family when the war started.
I'm leaving a lot of people that I love behind. I don't know if I'm ever going to see them again.
She is one of about 400 Americans in Gaza who the State Department has been trying to get out. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken leaves today for another trip to Israel. The trip comes amid growing outrage from allies in the region. Today, Bahrain recalled its ambassador to Israel a day after Jordan did the same. Now, with the Middle East in an uproar, Republican senators say actions by one of their own threatens U.S. security. Last night, in fired-up-floor speeches, they tried to break Senator Tommy Tuberville's hold on promoting hundreds of generals and admirals and denounced Tuberville when he refused to yield. Nicole Killian has more.
My colleague from Alabama is 100% wrong.
Anger erupted amongst Republicans Wednesday in the Senate over one of their members stalling hundreds of senior military promotions.
Why are we putting holes on war heroes?
For 9 months, Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville has been protesting a Pentagon policy that allows reimbursement for travel for abortions.
Madam President.
The senator from Alabama.
I object.
Fellow Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said he's been trying to work with Tuberville with no success.
No matter where you believe it or not, Senator Tuberville, this is doing great damage to our military.
I have to respectfully disagree with my colleagues about the effect of my hold on readiness.
A sudden cardiac arrest suffered by the Marine Corps top officer on Sunday and the repeated attack on American troops in the Middle East has elevated national security concerns.
To undermine the safety and security of the American people during this perilous time just doesn't make any sense to me.
Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, in local news, an investigation is still underway in Pine Bluff. Authorities are working to make an arrest in the city's latest homicide. Police identified the victim as 21-year-old Cedric Hawkins. Officers found him shot to death in the parking lot of St. John Apartments early Wednesday morning. There's currently no information on any suspects at this time, and we will keep you updated as more information becomes available. And another THV 11 update, a Hot Springs federal court sentences a man who kidnapped a teen in April of 2022, life in prison. Samuel Bowling, along with 20-year-old Dayla Farrer, kidnapped a 17-year-old, then tried to force her family to pay her for her release. About a year ago, Bowling pled guilty to kidnapping charges. He still faces state charges and will serve the sentences concurrently. A 45-year-old man is now in custody facing child sex abuse material charges. Ramon Eugene Stratton has been charged and arrested. He faces 30 counts of distributing, possessing, or viewing material that depicts sexual explicit conduct with a child. Stratton is being held on a $150,000 bond in the Pulaski County Jail. Well, Governor Sarah Sanders, along with 8 other GOP governors, now voicing their opposition against the NCAA rules for transgender college athletes. Since 2022, a policy has allowed those athletes to join teams that align with that specific sports policy on transgender athletes. They can submit documentation, and if they test within the designated testosterone range, they can compete. Well, the GOP group is now calling the NCAA to change the guidelines to ensure fairness. Governor Sanders posted a copy of a letter on social media, and with it, she says Arkansas law recognizes biological differences between men and women and that they shouldn't compete together in sports. She's pressuring the NCAA to adopt what she calls a, quote, common sense policy already in place in Arkansas. Well, a home belonging to a family of 11 is left in rubble after a fire destroys it. The home belonged to former state representative David Meeks and his family. Thankfully, no one was home when the fire happened. Now, the family, who's adopted and fostered 9 kids, has a reputation for helping others when in need. Now the community is returning that favor, receiving multiple bags of donations at The Call, a nonprofit in Conway that helps foster and adoptive families.
Within 30 minutes of us getting to the home, people were already calling and asking how they could donate, how they could help.
If anyone wants to help, the Call House is accepting donations and has other volunteer opportunities. Now in Soma, vendors are getting a second chance to fill the street in a surprise pop-up market. This comes after last weekend's downpour that left vendors with wasted money and product. Now with limited space, Soma is taking 40 vendors on a first-come, first-served basis to take advantage of the waived vendor fees covered by Empire Financial Architects.
They were already out all of this money from preparing to go to these other festivals, whether that have been the table that they bought or the tent that they rented or the extra product that they purchased. I think just giving them an extra outlet to sell that stuff is going to be really impactful.
The pop-up event is from 4 to 9 tomorrow in Soma by the Bernice Garden. And the North Little Rock School Board is meeting today to discuss its capital improvement project. The proposal includes a total millage of $2.6 million that, if approved, would cause taxes in North Little Rock to go up. Now, at the meeting, the board will share an updated community survey, as well as looking for public input. It starts this evening at 5:30. You can attend in person at Central Office or watch the NLRSD YouTube channel. Well, even though used car prices are down from a year ago, they are still way higher than pre-pandemic levels. After the break, we'll show you why. Nathan?
And here is a beautiful view with the fall colors showing up around the Clinton Museum and Library areas. Maples, got some reds, some oranges, some yellows. Those colors are really going to start to pop over the next 1 to 2 weeks here in Central Arkansas. I'll have more on that and the latest drought monitor. It came out today. It's all coming up next.